Hi YouTube, Tim here with what I hope is going to be a double treat for you. I have two bows that I want to test out on the tethering tree, one of which you've not seen before. I showed you the making of its cousin. I made a takedown Ottoman Turkish Sipahi bow, and that was about 49 inches knock to knock. This one is going to be closer to 46 inches knock to knock, which is pretty much the same length as all the other ones that I've been making with the wood tips. The primary difference is, again, this one is all PVC. It's mostly experimental. I want to see how well they do. I think it's not going to perform nearly as well as the wooden tip ones, but it's a lot simpler and quicker than shaping it with wood, especially if you don't have a lot of power tools. Anybody can do this with hand tools in about half hour, get your sears ready, half hour form everything else, and maybe an hour, hour and a half you can have a finished Turkish style bow and a takedown bow. So let me show you the bow itself. That's what we have right here. 46 inches knock to knock, maybe 47, but let's call it 46. It's using the exact same string as I use on my other ones. I'm going to call it a 7-inch brace height, which is perfect. I made the tips nice and elegant, nice and thin. We'll see if they're too thin. Who knows? It could snap. Anything's possible. And before I went ahead and did anything, I filed all this down. There's still a lot of glue on there that I need to heat up and clean off, but that'll come after we determine what its weight is, at what draw lengths, and if it can be used at all. So I'm just going to move the bandsaw another inch back, give myself a little bit of room to set up. This is one of the best things I've ever built. This is so cool. Okay, I'm going to tear it, set it to 0, and let's begin to draw. Again. Here's 20 inches, 24 inches, 28, 32. I don't expect we'll get to 32, but I'd like to get to 28 inches without it exploding. If it can do that, I'll be very satisfied, although I'll settle for 26. "20 inches, 30 pounds. 21 inches, 32 pounds. 24 inches, 38 pounds. 26 inches, 42 pounds. 27 inches, 45 pounds. 28 inches, 48 pounds. Yay! Okay. I'm going to call that victory since it didn't explode on us. Very cool. So now let me set this back down. I'll go ahead and take this off and replace it with the other bow that I wanted to play with. So now that I know you can draw it to a full draw, I was a little hesitant to try it myself beforehand because I didn't want it to explode. And again, this is going to be given to somebody. So I would really hate to give somebody a gift that turned out to be explosive and just unpleasant like that. So we're going to go ahead and test out the other bow now. Let me go ahead and unbrace it and I'll show you how, at least in theory, it should take down really simply. There, 1, 2, 3. It might need gloves because I also gave it a tiny pinch at the center. So it may not be a takedown bow after all. There we go. Okay, so it does take down. It just needs a little bit of elbow grease. Speaking of which, there's mineral oil on here. I think I'm going to put a little bit more on before I insert it again. But that very slight pinch there, I didn't want to pinch it too much because I want it to bend quite a bit at the handle to give me that. I don't want it to be too reinforced at the handle. My other bows, I don't pull them past 26 inches. This one I want to be able to, so I wanted it to bend a little bit more at the handle. So there we go. See if I can get it back together now. Man, I'm loving it. That's so cool. Great. So that is bow number 1. Bow number 2 you have seen before. This is the MountainBOWorks Ottoman Turkish bow. It's a lovely bow. He rated it at 45 pounds at 24 inches. When I had tested it before, it seemed like it was a little bit lighter than that, but let's go ahead. I want to test it again, and this time I had asked Justin if I could go ahead and stress it a little bit more. I wanted to see what would happen if we take it to 26 inches on camera, maybe even trying to get to 28 inches. We're going to watch it the whole time and make sure the tiller looks good, that it doesn't look like it's in danger of failing. We're going to be real careful and see what happens, because I think this bow is really well tillered. There's no place where it's obvious that it's going to hinge. So unless it's dramatically more rigid at the handle, we should be okay. We should be in business. There we go. All right. Here we go. Okay, perfect. Now again, it was braced at 5 inches. So at 6 inches. Great. 6 inches, 1.2, 1.8 pounds. 8 inches, 5.8 pounds. 10 inches, 9.65 pounds. 12 inches, 13.25 pounds. 14 inches, 16.9 pounds. 16, 21.1. 18, 24.15. 20 inches, 26.7. 22 inches, 30 pounds. 24 inches, I'm showing 32.3 pounds. Just show you the bow. It looks really good. I don't see a single spot on there that looks like it's about to give. Maybe the upper limb is a touch weaker than the lower limb. That's what it looks like to me, just a touch weaker. But it doesn't look like it's hinging. "26 inches, 35.3 pounds. And again, it's looking fine. The bow looks just fine. It doesn't look like it's about to explode. Doesn't look like it's about to collapse. Although the explosion part's usually harder to tell. "27 inches is 37.4 pounds. Now I'll tell you what. 28.15 at 24. 20.45 at 20. Okay, so I took it to 27. I want to take it to 28. But I don't think it's fair that I hold it at those weights, because as we know, when you hold the bow at a weight, it loses, the bow stretches, so it loses strength. This happens to wood bows, it happens to PVC bows, so it's just not a fair comparison. So I'm going to draw it much more quickly to a full 28 inches, and I think it's going to do just fine, but here goes. "24, 28 inches is 40 pounds. 29, oh, there we go. Just started to hinge at 29 inches. There we go. So, exceptional performance from this bow. Just a touch of a hinge here, right at the upper limb, right where you'd expect it to happen, right at the most seriously bending parts. So a little bit of heat. I'm going to apply a little bit of heat to puff that back out. And I think this bow is going to be as good, if not better than ever. But a full 28-inch draw with no problems. I'm very impressed with this. That's excellent. Well done. Well done, Jacob. So I hope you all enjoyed watching me draw test these two bows. Tune in again next time. I am going to be painting both of the takedown bows that I made and doing some rudimentary decoration on them. They're meant to travel and they're meant to be used. So that means they're not meant to be super ornately decorated. They're going to get beaten up. Check in then, and I hope to show you something very cool. Thanks for watching, YouTube.